Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We have a little bit of a follow-up on a story I did the other day about the SNP's proposals to do away with juries in certain types of trial, predominantly in trials involving sexual offences. Basically, the word on the street is that not enough men were being found guilty. And so they needed to do away with that damnable jury system that looks at evidence and then just have a situation where it is the establishment that will arrest you, the establishment that will charge you, and the establishment that will try you and find you guilty, so that they can tick their boxes and fill their quota of number of men that they are seen to be putting in prison for these sort of crimes. Well, of course, this goes against every kind of legal system in the world. They would be the only country in the world that would do this, and it has been roundly rejected, and it is now basically a non-starter. But it was proposed, of course, by the SNP, not noted for their intelligence, let alone their legal nous, and of course it was rejected. It will also be opening themselves up to massive miscarriages of justice, and there is absolutely no fairness when it is the state that prosecutes you and judges you. That any decision must be arrived at by your peers because they are not connected to the state. There can be no accusation that it was a fit up by the state when you are found guilty by your peers and not by the judge, him or herself. So let's have a look at this article and see what's going on and why it has been so roundly rejected by, well, just about everyone. Here goes. So the SNP's plans to abolish trial by jury in sexual cases fall into disarray as more than 500 lawyers in Edinburgh and Glasgow alone vow to boycott the move. The lawyers say the proposals would breach an accused's rights to a fair trial, and they absolutely would, because you would then have the establishment, as I say, being both judge and jury and executioner. They would be simply unfair and uncalled for, and so there'd be no guarantee of justice, and all for the exercise of making sure that judges hit quotas. They'll be sitting down looking down the list and going, a bit light today, well, it doesn't matter, we'll get 3 of them guilty, it doesn't matter, bang bang bang. Even if they're innocent, bang, they're in prison for 7-8 years, whatever. Although, knowing the SNP, they'll get 20 hours community service and a slap on the wrist. That seems to be the going rate for this kind of crime in Scotland now. But anyway, plans for juryless trials are in disarray after lawyers in Scotland's 2 biggest cities vowed to boycott the scheme. Lawyers say Scottish Government proposals for a pilot scheme for judge-only trials would breach an accused's right to a fair trial. Now the bar associations in Glasgow and Edinburgh have said they will not take part, which will scupper the initiative entirely. And this is yet another fail by the SNP, by particularly the Justice Department. Obviously it's used to failure, having had Humza Yousaf controlling it for so long. But now they're used to, they're carrying on the tradition of failing yet again. The proposed move was contained in SNP legislation published last week, so it hasn't even lasted a week. And this also paves the way for the abolition of the not proven verdict. Again, that will be probably roundly rejected as well. Scotland's a long tradition of that one. The Glasgow Bar Association said the result of a recent survey of members was overwhelmingly in favour of boycotting the single judge pilot court. And it goes here. It is said it now looking at whether a national position and strategy can be agreed. So this is the Bar Association is just banning it or rejecting it in Edinburgh and Glasgow, but now they're going to go for nationwide. Basically, every solicitor, every barrister in Scotland will roundly reject it. It won't happen. And that's the end of that then. And it doesn't matter how badly Humza Yousaf stamps his tiny little feet. It won't happen. It won't become law because nobody's going to enforce it. What's the point of having it if nobody's going to, take up the opportunity to give up their right to trial by jury just so that the establishment can fill their quotas? It would be sheer madness, and it would be absolutely miscarriages of justice left, right and centre. The Edinburgh Bar Association also voted to boycott the pilot. It added, trial by jury is a cornerstone of our justice system. Indeed, around the world, the jury system is seen as the highest form of justice because it removes the absolute decision from the establishment. And that is the important point. And it is up to the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the guilty is indeed guilty. If there's any doubt at all, then they're innocent. And that means that juries can sometimes deliver very strange verdicts. This is true. But 99 times out of 100, they deliver the expected verdict because the evidence is sufficient for that decision to be reached. Yes, sometimes you will get the odd one or two, but it is always better that a guilty man goes free than an innocent man is punished, because the guilty man will be found guilty at a later date in virtually every case. It's very rare that somebody commits a crime and then never commits another one at all, recidivism being what it is. Anyway, several other bar associations have said they will be boycotting the scheme or balloting members about participation. William McIntyre, a solicitor and crime writer, said, "I don't know of any member firm of Falkirk and District Faculty of Solicitors that would be prepared to act in a juryless trial. I would go so far as to say the same thing for Stirling and the Alloa faculties. There are around 530 members in total for Glasgow and Edinburgh Bar Associations, and it is understood that after the pilot, the Scottish Government will give judges a report card and review the trials." Well, there won't be any, and this is Constance again. She proposed this, and she has failed. So presumably she will soon be the leader of the SNP. Seems to be, fail in justice, become leader. It's how it works in Scotland. Success or failure will be measured by the number of convictions, bringing judicial independence into question. So what they've said actually in the proposals is it's only seen as a success if they prosecute more men. If they successfully put more men in prison, then it's a success. That alone means it is not justice. You are having an outside driving force to push for a legal verdict of guilty on the judges, and they have to achieve that guilt as often as they can to make this a success. That is why it is an absolute non-starter. It is so anti-free trial, anti-justice, anti-human rights. This legislation has been thought through at no point ever. This is just the musings of a drunken knight. It's the only explanation. Either that or they're deliberately doing it, in which case they are really laying down the foundations for a dictatorship. Thomas Ross KC, a critic of the plan, said the judiciary must have guarantees against outside pressures, but the pilot scheme proposes the exact opposite. It brings judicial independence into question, and meaning those that are found guilty could appeal on the grounds that their trial was not free of influence. Scottish Tory Justice spokesman Jamie Green said the SNP government fully engaged with victims and the legal profession if they want to introduce long-lasting beneficial judicial reforms, but this is not beneficial. Justice Secretary Angela Constance, the moron who brought this idea into fruition, says we have worked closely with the legal sector and will continue to do so during the development and evaluation of the pilot. The pilot won't happen now. Everyone in Scotland, everyone in the legal profession of Scotland has said no. They're never ever going to do it. It's dead in the water. It's like everything else that the SNP ever bring forward. It's an aborted idea. And it is never going to happen because it's so stupid. It's so wrong. It's so anti-common sense. Typical SNP. I'll come up. One day the SNP will come up with a bright idea that will work, will be popular and will benefit people. But it shall not be this day. And I don't even know if it'll happen in my lifetime. I've probably only got 25, 30 years left. The fact that they keep doing this, they keep coming up with these stupid ideas, and that people still vote for them, astounds me. The very people who vote for the SNP are quite often likely to be the ones who will most suffer when they go to court and find that there's no such thing as a jury. I mean, I'd love to see it. I would love to see, somebody have this trial, found guilty, go away. The proof comes out, they are actually innocent, and then they sue the SNP. They sue the government for bringing this in and sue them for millions. Personally, sue every single minister who signed it off for millions, personally. It's the only way these morons are ever going to learn is when they're having their houses taken off them for coming up with quite plainly moronic ideas. Why, for example, simple question, why does no other country in the world do this? There's a reason for it. It's because it's so stupid. But the SNP, pushing the boundaries of stupid every single day. I shall finish. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, share the video. But mostly leave the like. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. If you have a stupid idea, keep it to yourself. And goodbye.